I think people take from a show what they want to take. For a lot of people, Roadies is an aggressive show. For a lot of people, it is actually telling you how to stand up for yourself. Okay? It depends on what they take. This show is a very natural extension of what Roadies has been saying for 15 years, which is don't follow people, be yourself, create your own space, be fearless. Just because it hasn't happened before, trust yourself. Yeah? It is a very logical extension of that. We're making it a little more relevant, a little more topical today. Roadies is made 14 to 15 years ago. It is still relevant today. But a lot has happened. This generation is dealing with a lot other stuff compared to, a generation 15, 10 years ago. This show does the same thing for this generation. Therefore, this show only can exist on MTV along with Roadies and Splitsvilla.
I think just to add to that, I think one very important point of what Raghu just said was MTV's always been the fearless brand, right? Done right from the early phases that the channel had, we were fearless. When we came into the country in the mid-90s, we were fearless. The crazy things that we do on ground, we're fearless. All of the shows that we do, whether it's for sponsors, whether it's shows like Roadies and Splitsvilla, they're fearless shows. What people do need to keep in mind is that the brand has always had a lot of spunk, right? And the beauty is that the brand reaches out to the broadest part of the country, right? Right from the villages, right up to super penthouses in, let's say, Nariman Point, right? It cuts across. When you have this power as a brand, you also have a certain amount of responsibility. And you will have seen that over many years, there would have been different people or different brands or different channels that would have come in and created something which has lived for a long, long time. And that only lives for a long time when it's relevant. Again, like what Raghu was saying. If it's relevant at that particular time, I mean, all our shows have evolved, right? We haven't had Roadies and Splitsvilla running for 15 and 10 years doing the same thing. A lot of it has changed, including the two of them dropping out from Roadies, right? No pun intended, of course. But so you keep evolving with the times, and this show will also evolve. Today, it's in the avatar that you see it. I can promise you this show is here to last a minimum of 10 years. Because the spirit is not changing. The entrepreneurship is going absolutely nowhere except on an upward trajectory. So that's why, if that answers your question.
Hi, this is Shayanti. Dropout is actually relevant for me because I'm here. Yeah. Okay. So Dropout is relevant for me because I used to be a journalist. I quit my job last year, and now I'm a blogger, social media influencer, or YouTuber,
awesome.
Whatever you might
you know
call
what?
it.
Yeah.
We celebrate you.
So my challenge as an entrepreneur of sorts is the speed, because the minute it becomes a year, the next best question people want to know is, so what's the progress? Where is the money coming from? And whatever else follows. So though I still have everything else he mentioned as a conviction or self-belief and everything, but these are real parameters, right, at the end of the day, and numbers decide the entire game. So I may be like 2 months old into the game, but if I have like a followers which might list which might be bought or however else put together, I go much ahead of people who are putting whatever effort in the content. So how do you, groom an entrepreneur and make the person more sustainable as far as the industry and the sharks, let's say, are concerned?
Do you have a couple of 1,000 crores worth of entrepreneurs on stage?
First of all, you're not an entrepreneur of sorts. You're an entrepreneur. And second, I think they're coming out with a portal, which I guess MTV can share with you, where there will be mentors on. I think the show is a good parameter of, we cover a lot of these things through the show on, with the contestants. But I think there's also a portal, right? Please share that info, which has all of us talking about it. Because one of the biggest things we heard on the show was everybody that sat down there said, and I believe this too, mentors make a difference. And everybody that sat down said, we are looking for mentorship. So we really hope, and we will be giving time to that portal and talking about this further. And we can talk about it a little more.
Maybe, but maybe just philosophically addressing your question, Look, I think a lot of time, I personally believe that, you know, in terms of education background, gender, religious belief, from which place you come, you know, that may cause little bit of difference in terms of your achievement, efforts, and things you want to pursue. But I think just knowing that this is possible, I think that exposure is very, very important. You know, this country, until 10 years back, did not have entrepreneurs with whom you could relate to. So, you know, like in this country, there were 4 types of very famous people. One is a cricketer, one is a Bollywood person, third is a politician, and fourth one is you know, a businessman, but he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, right? But if you think about it, what this country has done in last 10 years, it has created local heroes. They all have 2-3 things common. They all come from typical middle class family. None of them were born with a silver spoon in mouth, and they chose cerebral, like you left your journalist career to be a blogger, right? So these 3 things have come together, coming from a middle class family, you know, choosing a cerebral career and kind of pursuing your dream. And this country has now produced a lot of local heroes that you can relate to. And so it's not like that India has changed, but what has changed is a belief that this is possible. You know, I was able to become entrepreneur because Deep Kalra from Make My Trip or Sanjeev Bikichandani from Naukri prior to me did it. And I said, you know, it is no different. If they can, I'm not underestimating their achievement, but I said,
contrarian belief to just the hype that gets talked about, and that's what I think we've done in the show. There's a lot of demystification. Like, there's a concept in your mind which says, I have to be speedy, I have to be fast, I have to serve numbers. And I think it's a demystification that we're really proud of, because we tell a lot of entrepreneurs in the show, this is not really true. And the oldest saying I love is, all that glitters is not gold. So you need to believe in yourself and not the metrics that others have put around them. Because a lot of people get misled because of those momentum and ideas, and I should be funded, and funding is not important. The top 5 Fortune 500 companies in the world never got funded, but they became Fortune 500. So these are things we have to tell people, and that's when younger people especially say, oh, I never thought of that. Just because you read things in the newspaper doesn't mean they're true. So I think the challenge is the stories of people, right? Because it's always their story, not your story. So I think making people realize that your story is unique is really our job. And that's what I'm really proud of. It's your story, not our story.
Thank you so much.
There's a question here and a question there and a question everywhere.
Hey, so I'm sure you guys would have had a long kind of a situation wherein people were obviously going to be an emotional part of it. How difficult was it to choose people? Because like you saw the farmer, and I'm sure that